Hi, my name is Chaundra Eagar, and I work for the MAF Home Office in Canada. My family served in Uganda for 6 years. My husband Matt was pilot there, and we have 3 children. Fred, who is almost 14, Charlotte, who's nearly 12, and Theo, who is 8 years old. When I was a kid, I came from a family that really appreciated the value of overseas missions. We grew up in a house where our bedtime stories were actually missionary tales of my dad and uncle smuggling Bibles through the Iron Curtain. You know, just treks across Europe with a caravan with the walls lined with Bibles. And as a kid, I thought those were the most exciting stories I had ever heard. And it really gave me a passion for helping people and furthering God's kingdom or God's love through this kind of adventure. And I think we learned at a young age that adventure and being a Christian kind of go hand in hand. And so for me, when I got older and I met Matt and he came home with this package from MAF Canada and said to me, "So what do you think about moving overseas?" And I could fly there. At first I was a little bit hesitant, like, where did this kind of came out of left field? But the more I thought about it, the more I thought, like, yeah, this is it. This is the adventure that I have been waiting for since I was a kid. That this is our chance to do something together as a family, and it's also our chance to make a difference for what we believe in and put our money where our mouths are. So when we arrived in Uganda, we didn't really know what to expect as a family. Matt's role was really defined. He was a pilot. He was going to be flying. He was going to be transporting other missionaries and aid workers and supplies. And he kind of knew what his life would look like, although different than here in Canada. His role was laid out for him, where when I arrived in Uganda, mine wasn't. And it was a little bit hard to figure out what's my purpose here. Like, we came as a family, we have a common calling, we have a common passion for being here and serving people in Uganda. What does life look like for me and the kids? I've always told the kids before we moved to Uganda, and now that we're back in Canada, life looks different here than it did on the mission field because I've always told them, like, you don't have to move across the world to be a missionary. You don't have to do something that you would read about in a book, let's say. It doesn't have to be like the stories I heard growing up. I think to be a missionary, all you have to do is be brave enough to step outside your front door. There's always going to be someone within your reach who needs help and who might need a helping hand, or just an opportunity, or to hear an encouraging word. That's all it takes, is to be brave enough to step outside your front door. As we got connected in Uganda and more comfortable there, navigating the country and the culture and the crazy traffic, we started to get involved in different ministries through our MAF office and some connections there. We were able to start working and ministering with a group of special needs moms and parents and other siblings and caregivers. And because we moved to Uganda with a daughter who has some pretty significant special needs, I think that was something that was really close to my heart, and something that it was natural to me to be able to encourage other people and talk about, like, Charlie's life is just as important as everybody else's. We would hear stories about, kids with disabilities who would get left at home. They would get locked in the bedroom while the other kids and parents would go to church, or they wouldn't get sent to school because it sometimes would look maybe like they were a burden on the family, or that the family had maybe been cursed because of this. And what we really wanted people to know is that every life is valuable, and every life is is worth celebrating. And that's what we did, is that we really celebrated these kids. And to this day, that group still meets and they get together, they go out in the community with these kids. And it was such an amazing thing to see this kind of get legs and take off on its own. I can't, you know, say that I even started this. It just happens that we were there and we were in the same situation. And it's just a group of people sitting together and sharing our experiences. And to me, having God put me there with a child with special needs is how that came to be. Eventually, a couple of years into our time in Uganda, an opportunity came up with an organization called Tutupona. They were looking for someone to do the communications for their international office, and my background is in communications and marketing. And somebody approached me and said, you know what, you should apply for this position. I think you would really love the organization and you would be really passionate about what they do. And so I went and I talked to them and I got the job. And I was really nervous because I hadn't done anything like this. I hadn't stepped outside of kind of the boundaries of stay-at-home mom, and I enjoyed that role. I love being with the kids, but also I have a real passion for people. And Tutupona is an organization. We provide trauma counseling and mental health services for refugees and internally displaced people who have suffered the atrocities of war and conflict. So to step into this role and to see the programs that we run and to see the life-changing moments that some of these people who are living as refugees experience just through, somebody stepping in and caring and somebody listening. When I look at some of the people that I've met and some of the stories I've heard, it really occurs to me that we're all the same. And I've never thought otherwise, but it's so apparent when you hear the story of a mother losing her child, or the story of families being separated, or losing your home, running for your life. Every one of us would react the same in that situation, and it's hard to hear and it's hard to watch, but it's also so amazing to think, like, deep down we're all God's children. And although sometimes we look at situations like this from Canada and we think, like, you know what, it seems really far removed and it seems like it's not happening. But to sit with people and hear their stories and then empower them to have a voice and to tell their stories well, and to talk about the healing that they've received through these group programs and this group counseling, it's really amazing. Tutupona is a Swahili word, and it means we will be healed. And to me, the most amazing thing is that in these situations, healing is always a we, that nobody is alone, nobody is isolated anymore. We're in this together. Refugees from the Congo, people from South Sudan, us here in Canada, like, when we say we will be healed, that is a combined effort. It's not something that we can do alone. And so for me to be able to be a part of that, to be able to step in and tell stories and to watch people heal and to watch people be resilient and overcome and start new lives, like, I'm just thankful that I'm able to be a part of that. I wouldn't want to do anything else. I think that we all have a story worth telling. I just want to be able to help people do that. Sometimes living overseas, it wasn't always easy. There are lots of things that are, external stressors that you don't have here. Sometimes even like getting out of my house and getting out of my gate and compound, that there were days where that was overwhelming. It was just, so many things to remember and lock up, and the traffic was bad and the roads were crazy, and just extra hard things on top of already hard things. You know, I would go to the grocery store some days and there were little girls who were the age of my kids begging outside the grocery stores. And one of the things that impacted me the most living in Uganda was watching our family, be a part of so many things in so many different places. And I don't mean that like, oh, look at us, look at how much we do. I mean, like our kids just really were able to have compassion and be involved and understand that they are no different than anybody else. In everything we did, they were involved in it, in the special needs group, with the boys who lived behind our back wall. They were like our boys' brothers. And we've been working to be able to bring one of them over here as an international student for a year of school. And so just looking at how our boys have really championed that and have really helped go through the steps and look at how we could make that work. We were able to take Charlotte, or Charlie, our daughter, and work in a baby's home every Tuesday morning as part of her schooling, but just to watch her love on babies who maybe haven't been held for days or cuddled, and have her make sure that every baby was up and having their breakfast. There was one day when we were in there in the morning and her job was to help serve everybody breakfast, and she noticed that one little girl was missing. And so she wouldn't finish serving the kids until she could find out where this one little girl was. And the little girl was disabled. Her legs were quite severely crippled. And so Charlie went in with one of the nuns who worked at the baby's home, and they went searching until they found that this little girl was still in her bed. And so just to watch Charlie, who most people might think like, oh, maybe she doesn't understand, but she does. And even she sees the value in every person. And I think a lot of that is because of what she's experienced. So to watch our kids be passionate about people like I am, I think that has impacted me more than the work I've done, the experiences, everything. I think that really has driven the idea of being a missionary every day into the hearts of my family. Now that we're back home and I'm working with the Math Canada Home Office, my role here is to continue connecting with people all over the world. And like I mentioned before, that I love to help people tell their stories. And that is what I'm passionate about. And I believe that every story is worth telling. And I know from experience when you're on the field that sometimes things seem overwhelming. And sometimes it's hard to, go back through or relive or even talk about the things that you've been doing, or the things that have happened, or even the really exciting stories. Sometimes at the end of the day, you get home and all of this external stuff has been flying at you all day. And it's just not easy to sit down and tell your story. And my hope is that, as part of the development team here and as part of like the Math Canada Home Office, that I can step in as someone who's been in that position and be like, here, let me help you, because I understand what it's been like, but also I really think you have something important to say. And I really think that there are people who want to hear it. And I really just want to help spread the word and spread the great news of what's happening in math to everyone here in Canada and around the world. So when I was asked to consider coming on with the Canadian head office coming home, not only was I excited because I love the work that MAF does, I think I was most excited because I love the people. So being able to continue connecting with people and talking with people and being involved in the work, even from a distance, it's something that I continue to be really excited about. I think ministries like mine within the ministry of math are so important, because there is impact that we don't always see. And I don't mean impact like we're knocking down walls or anything like that, but just the pure fact that there are people who are placed in math programs all over the world, who are there just like loving on their communities, meeting people where they're at, giving them opportunities, helping them, sharing God's love just through being friends and, interacting, working with other NGOs. There are so many things that happen that we don't always know about because we are where we are. And I think when you look at math, the ministries we do with our aircraft are amazing. Like, we go places nobody else could go. But I think the same can probably be said about the non-technical roles that happen within math. Like, we go places that it's hard to go. Being in those hard places is where God wants us to be. And that's why I think it's so important that we all are where we are. I'm really passionate about people and about helping them share their story. I think that everybody's story has value and every person has value. And I think the more I'm able to facilitate, getting those stories and those experiences out there, the more other people can see and value people as well.